you're done. If you're single, you're going to be alienated from this religion. If you're single, you're never going to be happy. So you want to do Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, that you want to serve God. Good luck serving God with joy when you're.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm taking this off the hook. I'm sorry, guy. Okay.
What's that?
I have no idea, but they're gone.
Are these people still here?
Yeah. Everyone's still there. Keep going. Finish your thought.
Oh, I did.
So, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha?
Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, which means to serve God with joy, is a very difficult commandment to fulfill when you're single and your life sucks. Okay, and I'm struggling with that. It's very hard for me to be happy and to serve God happily. I know that the Torah is the truth. I know He wants me to serve Him happily, but I can't do it because I'm single. And God also says it's no good for man to be alone, and anybody who's alone, is single, is going to hate it.
But doesn't the Torah also say that if you had a tough childhood, you're then exempt from these commandments?
I don't know where it says that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I just picked it up on Oprah or something, but...
Oprah? I don't know.
I guess there's nothing explicitly in the Torah that says if you have a tough childhood, then you're exempt from...
There's nothing that says you're exempt.
But what if you're gay, transgendered, bisexual, or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender? Are you then exempt from the...
Okay, can I talk about that?
Yeah.
No, you're not exempt from anything. I talked about a little bit about this during the interview, but I'll rehash. Torah has no concept of gay, lesbian, or any of these things. There's no concept. Everybody, according to Judaism, is inherently bisexual. Because God gives to us a desire, at least to some degree, of an attraction for the same gender and for the opposite gender. And depending on the person, you might have a really strong desire here and a weak one over here, or vice versa, or you have a strong one in both directions. And the law is you have to marry somebody of the opposite gender, and that's it. And you cannot have relations with somebody of the same gender. Okay? You do that, it's a terrible transgression. If two males are together and they have what's called a homosexual act, that's a terrible thing. Okay? Now, the Torah doesn't say that, oh, somebody who has a desire for that is a terrible person. No, that's just the way God created them. They have a tremendous test. A person who has a really strong desire to be with another man has a tremendous test that he must overcome, and he got to not do that. Okay? He's not exempt from anything. He's in the same boat as the rest of us. Okay? All he has is a predisposition that's very strong, a very strong drive for somebody of the same gender, but they just got to, they have to overcome that. They cannot do that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so what you're saying is that even if you're a member of a historically victimized group, which is basically everybody except for WASPs, you're not exempt from the Torah. There's no, I keep reading it here, and I don't read any exemption for, but if you came into the land of Israel illegally, you don't have to worry about keeping any commandments, because there's nothing in here about, just because you're here illegally doesn't mean you're exempt from the laws of the land.
Right.
So, Torah seems to say frequently that, the stranger who comes into the land of Israel, the non-Jew, he has lots of obligations. Not all the ones that Jews have, but he has a lot of obligations too. Correct?
Somebody who converts and becomes Jewish?
No, let's just say a non-Jew who's in the land of Israel.
No.
Yeah, he has obligations too. Or is he just free from all obligations?
No, a toshav.
I can't imagine anyone is free from all Torah obligations.
Right, there's a thing called, I think it's ger toshav. Nobody quote me on this. I'm really weak on these laws, but if I remember correctly, somebody who's non-Jewish and he's living with the Jews, there's a couple of things that the Torah speaks specifically to him, but basically they're no different than other non-Jews.
Everybody has obligations in a Torah perspective.
Right. A non-Jew.
Nobody is free from all
exactly.
obligations, even if they feel they were historically victimized.
Right. The Torah has a concept what's called a ben Noach. Every single person on the planet can trace their lineage back to Noah, came off the boat. Okay? And God gave to Adam that these laws that were passed down. There were 7 of them. There's 7 laws that were passed down from God to Adam, all the way down to Noah, and everybody today who's not Jewish has to do these 7, and they include you can't steal, you can't murder, you can't do the homosexual act, you can't marry, you can't have sex with somebody else's wife.
Can't be cruel to animals.
Oh yeah.
Can't kidnap.
Right.
You must set up courts of law. You can't deny God's existence publicly. You can't worship idols.
Excellent, thank you. And everybody is responsible for those. That's what. So you're absolutely right. There's no free lunch in this world. Even if you're not Jewish, you still have to do those laws.
So, like, just taking the Torah ethos to this great country, would you agree the United States of America is a great country?
Absolutely.
Being good for Jews?
And we talked about Babylon, and I said how Babylon was really good for the Jews. The Jews lived in almost total peace for 1,000 years in Babylon. This is my opinion. Everybody's welcome to go ahead and argue with me and call me names. I'm used to it. Since the time that the Jews left Babylon, the greatest country in the world, bar none, until this day, for Jewish people is the United States of America.
So if you're in the United States, you should be obliged to live up to certain levels of behavior, even if you feel you're historically victimized.
Where's this going? Is this some political?
Yeah, I mean, just reading this week's Torah portion, it makes a lot of demands on a lot of different people, including non-Jews who are residents in the land of. And so I think absolutely that just taking this ethos into the United States of America, we have every right to make demands for decent behavior on every group of people, even if they feel like they were historically victimized.
I would agree with that.
And I'm really sick of people saying, oh, I'm historically victimized, therefore I can go out and steal and rape. And like there was this Egyptian lawyer, it was on YouTube recently from memory, who said that all Israeli women deserve to be raped because Israel is raping the land of the Palestinians.
It's not even the land of Palestinians. That's retarded.
But, I mean, there's nothing in this Torah about, oh, you're historically victimized, therefore you're off the hook. I'm really sick of that line of thought. I don't know if that comes through.
I'll tell you one thing here in America that I don't want to get into politics. I'll let you do that. I'm in enough trouble just doing Judaism.
So why does the Art Scroll and so many people translate ger in the 5 books of Moses as proselyte when it says that we Jews were gerim in Egypt and we certainly weren't converts in Egypt? So why, when it says in the Torah ger, why does Art Scroll and so many people translate that as proselyte when it's clearly not proselyte, it's clearly stranger, non-Jew?
No, that's not true. When the Torah uses the word ger, it means convert.
Why? It says that we were gerim in Egypt. Were we converts in Egypt?
I have to look that up.
Fair enough.
I have to look that up because I don't have the answer on my fingertips. But I do know. All right, I'll come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back to that.
Okay.
We don't have to solve the whole. We don't have to solve the whole Torah in one sitting. And so in chapter 20, verse 8, and it says, "Speak to the rock that brings forth the water." And the Art Scroll commentary here says, "The rock." The definite article "the" indicates that this was a known rock. Sages teach that God had created a rock that he used often as a source of miraculous waters. This was the rock that the angel revealed to Hagar when her son Ishmael was dying of thirst, from which Moses was commanded to draw water nearly 40 years earlier. And that same rock accompanied the people throughout their wanderings as long as Miriam was alive. After her death, it ceased to yield water and was hidden. So do you believe that? You think the same rock, the Israelites carried this rock through the desert for 40 years, and it was this same rock that gave water to Hagar, is now giving water to the Israelites, and they're just like schlepping this rock around through the wilderness for 40 years?
Why not?
Just curious what your take
Who
was.
says that though? Who?
I'm just reading the Art Scroll commentary. They attribute it to the Ramban, so that's Nachmanides.